Alright, gamers, listen up. So, it's day like 4 or something of the WX skill tree being released. And I have just finished, well, it's the next morning, but the morning after of when I finished my WX skill tree boss rush. So, this is the skill tree I used, which is quite a bit different than I thought it would be. So I did 2 boss rushes. The first one I failed / gave up. The second one I tried a different skill tree and it was much nicer. And I have some thoughts, and I've basically completely changed my mind about like 2 or 3 skills. Like there's like a lot, like this one, and this one, and kind of this one. Yes. So let's talk about it. So let's start off over here. Jakey, why didn't you have Alpha Circuit triggering 1 and 2? Basically, I didn't have enough points to activate these. And all of these skills are good, and I would benefit from all of these. I did use every single circuit. And so the best one here is the processing circuit gain a new effect, which is the super processing unit cuts your sanity drain in half. That's really good. Really would have been really good for Fuel Weaver, but I just didn't have enough points. Same with this. Jimmy, shut up! Same with this. Hardy circuits give you armor. Processing circuits get a buff. Bean booster gets you a shield, and Gastro gain gets a buff as well. So this is good, but I just didn't have enough points. Let's start about the first guy. So the first rush, I had double Alpha Tinkering 1 and 2, and I didn't have this skill and I didn't have this skill. What's Up is so good. This skill allowed me to just unplug and plug in new circuits without any downside, or very close to, because as you can see, the passive charge generation is much faster, and you lose 1 less charge when unplugging a charged circuit with 2 or more slots. So if I pull out an electric circuit or a speed circuit, which has 2 slots, I would lose only one charge circuit. So you got some acceleration circuits in, very cool. Then I have that many charges, then you unplug them, you only lose 1 charge. Really cool. And the other thing, and I believe, by default, the passive charge generation is 2 minutes per charge. This makes it 30 seconds. So my bar was fully activated again before I even realized. Like, it was crazy. In my first rush, the thing I was running up against is charges. Like, I was constantly pulling out and putting in new circuits as I was like upgrading and scanning new stuff. And the charges just couldn't keep up at all. And if you recall, I wanted to do this strategy where I go to roughly the middle of the map, I put down a chassis, I switch to it, and then in this chassis, what I would want is I would do this. I would make a bunch of range booster circuits, like 7 of them, and plug them all in. For what reason, Jakey? For what reason? Let me speed up time. The animation is so slow. So as you can see, when you start oh look, I've already got a charge. When you have a body, it starts with no charges, and then it gains every 30 seconds, I think, or maybe every 35 seconds. So in the first round, what I ran up against is I created this body after I got the range booster circuits. And I was like, okay, time to plug them in. Then I put the body down, switched to it, plugged them in, and I was like, wait. Like, my main body had 2 speed circuits already, and this one didn't, and now I have to stay on this body to let the range boosters charge, and I was like, nah, so I just didn't stay on this body, so it never got max range boosters, because I never let the charges go up. Like, it's almost max charges, is what I've been talking. Oh, it's 35 seconds for a charge, 35 seconds. And so, in my second run, what I did, which was much better, I started out by going to the mosaic. Let me just reveal the map so I can help explain what I'm saying. In the second run, I had a better strategy. So not only did I have what's ups to get charges faster, I started the run by just ignoring everything, going to the mosaic and digging up graves. The graves gave me a gear and a red gem. So then I immediately crafted a chassis and put it down in the mosaic. And then at that point, my main body had only the big acceleration circuit. I then put down the corpse and I switched to it, and then I carried on playing. So I carried on mining gold in the backup chassis, and then once it hit full charges, I was like, okay, cool. Then I ran it all the way to the middle, roughly the middle of the map where I thought the middle of the map was, and I left it there and plugged in all the range booster circuits, and then teleported back to my main body. By day 2, I had a chassis with full charges in the middle of the map, ready to have the range boosters, because the range boosters, you need to scan a bird, which means you need to trap a bird, which means you need silk, which I didn't get until like day 4, but anyway, by day 4 or 5 or something, I had a chassis in the middle of the map with 7 range boosters, and that's huge, because then I made these guys. I actually made these guys on like day 2, but without range boosters, you can't control them very fast. Oops. You know what, I meant to do that, because now I can show things better. Without range booster, you can't really send them very far. And also a mistake, or a buff to these guys that I didn't realize they did. So you can't send these guys out of range, right? So I can't send them there is out of range, but I can send them there, no problem. Once they are out of range, let me just drag myself away. You can see it's about to come out of range. Oh no! It's out of range! See, like this main drone, that means I can't command it, right? It's fully out of range, so I can't command it. Except they made a change, a buff before the live game went out, which is you can command these drones even if you're out of range, but you just have to command them back within range. So you can see the range is actually here. That's my range currently, because I don't have any range boosters in, but I can still command him to come back. So this way, you can send them to the opposite end of the map, and then with the normal body, you can still command them a decent distance, because you can just command them back here. So you have to command them within distance, so it's really good buff. Anyway, that's not the point I was talking about. So then, throughout the first, like, 15 days, if you didn't know, I was doing double shadow pieces on day 21. I was spending a lot of time on the surface because I need to find all the shadow pieces. So I was using these guys to help scout the entire land, find the shadow pieces, which they did. I found all the shadow pieces quite early, like day, I think I had them all in place by like day 13 or something. And of course, I plugged in triple speed to do that. But yeah, with the range booster, you can send them to basically, I'm too far, I'm not in the middle of the map like at all, but yeah, you could send them basically across the map. And so that's what I did. I used them to cut through biomes so that I knew where all the biomes were, so I just had them like cutting through cross sections of the map. They were on the opposite ends of the map, so then I just knew where all the biomes were. All the biomes weren't fully uncovered, but I knew where they all were because I had a cross section cut through them. And then otherwise, I had them scan the map like this. So one drone would start here, go there, go up, do this, just repeatedly. So like once a day, I would command it across the map. It takes about a day to go across the map. So I would just have it do this and reveal all the map. Once I found all the shadow pieces, I didn't need to find anything else on land, so then I just had them, like I said, scanning the entire map. And I did not, later on in the run, I had to do exactly no ocean exploration. I found everything with these drones. Everything. I found loads of cookie cutters, found loads of Malbatross shoals, I found everything. I didn't find Crab King actually, he was hiding in the bottom of the map, but I used Astro Detectors to find him. But otherwise, oh, and Pearl, they didn't find Pearl, but yeah, whatever. Those are things you can find naturally in-game. These guys found everything in the ocean. I had to do no ocean exploration, and that was amazing. But, of course, once I had explored everything, these guys were dead. Like, once your map is explored, you don't need them anymore, right? So that's where the skill point becomes a bit dead, and you can switch it out. Now, these guys in the caves, they're also good. In the caves, though, I'm in such a in such a rush to go to the ruins that I did not make a chassis down there with full of range boosters. Instead, because you don't need to, let me show you a little trick. In the caves, you can make 2 more of those guys. I have the range booster body, but ignore that. So you get 2 more of these range bots, the scouter bots, when you're in the caves. So what I did is in the early game again, it costs only a compass and electricity dead. I commanded them to just go, I put them down a random cave and just commanded them to go out, and I just sent them in opposite directions as far as I could, right? Then I left them, I went back upstairs. Then when I came back down, I'm going to reveal the map just because it's easier. So I came down this entrance, or close to, this isn't the exact map. Then I came down a different entrance, say this one over here. And it was like an entrance on the opposite end of the map. So then the drones were here and here, and then when I came down this sinkhole over here, I could command them to just come to me, even though they're really far away. And by doing that, I got a massive cross-section across the entire map. They found the Lunar Grotto, they found the Atrium Pillar, they found Toadstool, they found the ruins. Oh goodness, Charlie, no. So yeah, and they found Muddy Biome, they found Nightmare Werepig. And then I found the ruins myself because they found the main Muddy Biome. But yeah, really good. You don't need the range booster body down here because, yeah, once you go in it, just the first sinkhole you go down, just create them and just send them as far away from each other as you can. Then when you go down another sinkhole, like say you came down this one, you drag them towards you and they'll do a massive cross section. So in this example, they would find Lunar Grotto, they would find Toadstool cuts, and they would find maybe the Fumarole biome. But yeah, they wouldn't have found the muddy one. But anyway, from that I could tell, ruins are probably over here because entrance biome, and grotto here. So ruins probably on the opposite side. Also, when it came to fighting Warbot and Celestial Scion, you need to find Monkey Island. And I hadn't found Monkey Island. So I just moved my range booster body. I found like a bit of rock that was painted like this. So I knew Monkey Island was in like the bottom right of my map. So I moved my range booster circuit body a little bit further down the map. And I commanded a drone to go scout it. So I never had to go to Monkey Island. Because then you have to make a map and give it to Wagstaff. And Monkey Island has to be on that map. So, yeah, I never stepped foot on Monkey Island, and, yeah, the drones did it all for me. So, field survey drones, great, really amazing. It feels like a waste of time to spend so much time, like, making a body and plugging range boosters into it, but it's very worth it. Didn't take that much time. Like I said, you make the body, as soon as possible in the mosaic when you don't have circuits. Dig up the graves, get gear red gem, build the body, switch to it. You only have to be in that throwaway body for like 2 minutes to get full charges, then switch back out of it, then teleport back to it when you have range boosters. Alright, so that's what's up. What's up really good. Even in the late game, it's really good. During winter, I was using the thermal circuit. So before winter started, I pulled out a speed circuit and a super illumination circuit and plugged in the heat circuit. Without this skill, it would have taken 6 minutes for that to become active. But with this skill, it was like 1.5 minutes. I don't feel like I need to really talk about these, but I will. So thermal refrigerant, optoelectronic chorus box, and range booster second get into effect. Range booster, need that for controlling his field survey, enough said there. And with this one, acceleration circuits, we needed this for moving the shadow pieces because it reduces the slowdown effect you get, so we need that. As for this one, Sonic Invoker Circuit, I did use this twice to complete the Moonstone event. Like, Sonic Invoker Circuit was so legit. When I went to the Lunar Grotto for the first time, which was before the first Ruins Rush, I just scanned a mole rat and killed one to get the nose, and bam, I just made the Sonic Invoker Circuit and plugged it in. As I was going around the map, I was scanning butterflies and spiders, and I was just making the garbage circuits. So, like, this one, Hardy, Gastro, and Processing, and I was just plugging them in. Because I knew that later on I was going to make at least one of these, and one of these. So I just made at least one of each of these and just plugged them in. So I got increased stats, and again, when I rip them out, doesn't matter because What's Up recharges my stuff so fast. So then for Gamma's Tinkering 2, none of these came into effect until the first spring where I had Spin Cycle. And spoilers, in the run where I succeeded, I had killed Fuelweaver on day 30, I think, or just before, just before day 31. Then I got back and did the full moon event on day 31. And then I got my mall at like day 38 or something, 39 maybe. You don't need this until spring basically, but I didn't want to switch skill trees, so I always had it unlocked. Transport drones. These are amazing, but not for the reasons that you might think. So initially I thought, you know what, I'm going to be teleporting my body and then moving all of my stuff with the transport drones. I never did that. I was never like unplugging all of my circuits, like my main body with my speed circuits, my thermal circuits, all of my stat boosting circuits, my spin cycle terminates. I was never unplugging all those circuits, putting them in drones and sending them to a body that was far away, and then making that body my new body. That was too much effort and took too much time. I wasn't doing that. But the transport drones were really useful. I made, in the end, about 9 of these, and I was sending them to and from Pearl's Island. I had a chassis on Pearl's Island, so I never had to sail between Pearl and the island except for the first time. I was constantly sending items to Pearl's Island, then teleporting to the chassis that was on the island that just had a super illumination circuit plugged into it, doing Pearl's tasks, then sending the Pearl back to the mainland and then teleporting back to my main body. That was really good. Bodies that I were teleporting to, I did not, they weren't my main bodies. I definitely had a main body. I wasn't switching the circuits with it. It's still good. You still unlock it, but you're not going to use it for like actual teleporting. You're going to use it for temporary tasks. For example, teleporting back to a chassis in the ruins to do some crafting, sending that stuff back, and then transferring consciousness back to the body at the staircase, for example. This is an interesting story. So basically, after the first run, I ran into the problem of I need to recharge my charges faster. And that's either get What's Up, which I didn't at the time, I didn't think was that good, but it is very good. Or I unlock this so that I can zap electric volt goats. So here's the problem with the electric circuit. The electric circuit is really good. You need to scan a volt goat to unlock it, but you need volt goat milk to craft it, which means you have to charge a volt goat and then kill it. And you can't charge a volt goat unless you make like a morning star. That requires a volt goat horn, which means killing volt goats with a 25% chance to get the horn. So, or you wait till spring and like wait for it to get zapped by lightning. So that's why I got this, because you can use this to not only aggro volt goats, so it's easier to kill them, but also it charges them. So you just need to charge the goat once, then kill it, then you can use the milk to make electric circuit, and then you're immune to their electricness. So that was useful. I did use it for that, but after that, I didn't really use it. And so you could ditch this to unlock Alpha Circuit Tinkering 1, which would have given you the processing circuit half sanity drain effect, which is really good. Not really much to say here. It made the first Volt Goat kill with like the first electrified Volt Goat kill very, very easy. And that's kind of it. The last big skill I want to talk about, the Lunar Affinity. Boys, I'm so sorry. I totally overhyped this skill. The clones in the early game are really bad. I only made them twice in the whole run. Well, three times. So the first time was against Fuelweaver. I thought it'd be funny to do it against Fuelweaver, so I did testing to check which circuits I needed to keep them alive. Just to quickly reiterate, You can plug circuits into this chassis, and then you can attach this to it. And then when there's a Gestalt around, so you have to go to, in the early game, you have to go to Lunar Island or the Lunar Grotto to get a Gestalt. Unless the Moonstorms are active, then you could go inside the Moonstorm. Or you wait till nighttime because it's a full moon night. Then a Gestalt will infest it, and it will follow you. And this drops off so you can reuse it. Very cool. So, for Fuel Weaver, I plugged in 1 super health, 1 super processing, or 2 super processings, and I gave them all Thulsite bodies, and I gave them all a Thulsite body and a Thulsite club each. And like 2 football helmets, but we'll skip that. And they all survived the kill. I think one of them died right at the end, and they died because their sanity got too low. If you didn't know, these guys have stats the same as you, and once their sanity hits 0, the Gestalt leaves the body and leaves the body behind. And if it dies because its health hits 0, the Gestalt leaves and leaves the body behind. So the body didn't get destroyed because Fuel Weaver died right as one of my minions died. But yeah, I took 3. They were great. They did lots of damage. Because the tentacle damage from the Thulsite Club isn't reduced damage, but the Thulsite Club's damage from the guy is. They do half damage, but like I said, tentacles don't do half damage. And it wasn't that bad. It was a very minimal setup. I had to go to the Lunar Grotto, build the chassis there, because remember, if you build the chassis like here, and now you're like, okay, I want a Gestalt to infest it, you can't do it in the early game. You have to bring the chassis to Lunar Island. So I would have to switch this chassis, switch to it, and then take it to Lunar Island. And then I would just teleport back to my main chassis, and then go to that chassis and plug this thing into it, like this. So you need 2 chassis to do it, which is why, yeah, you want to go to where the Gestalts are, then build the chassis there. So what I did, as I went to the Lunar Grotto, I put 3 chassis down, I equipped them with all their gear, everything in their inventory, and plugged in all their circuits. Then I, one by one, had Gestalts infest them, and they followed me all the way to Fuel Weaver, defeated Fuel Weaver with me, and when one of them died just at the end of Fuel Weaver, one of them died on the way back in the atrium, and the last one didn't die until like we got to the staircase or something. So for Fuel Weaver, they were really good. They did tons of damage, great, and it was a very minimal setup. It's kind of expensive. It was a Thulsite suit, 2 football helmets, and a Thulsite club each. But otherwise, they increased my damage by at least 2.5 times. So it was kind of good. And, but you'd have to watch the stream to kind of see it. But basically, I don't know what they did to their kiting logic, but it's really bad now. When I was running around and killing the Shadow Hands against Fuel Weaver, they were just like sitting on top of Fuel Weaver, taking hits and getting a massive sanity drain because they were just sat on top of Fuel Weaver, which is really stupid. So I kind of made them sound good, right? So then I took 1 to Toadstool because I was doing Toadstool on day like 47. I was waiting for some Shadow Rifts to respawn so I could get more materials for my maul. So I took 1 to Toadstool. I didn't gear it up very much. I gave it a Thulsite suit, football helmet, and I gave it a Void Gloomrang, a Thulsite club, a Glass Cutter, and a Moonglass Axe. And remember, I had a Shadow Maul and 2 Spin Cycle circuits, so I was already doing good damage. I didn't need help, right? It dodged the Boom Shrooms fine because it dodges with you, but it was running into the Spore Clouds. It was using, like, bad weapons to attack Toadstool, like the Moonglass Axe to attack Toadstool. And when you told it to chop trees, it would want to chop the very tree that you're attacking. So by the time it got to your tree, you'd already finished chopping it. So it was basically useless, and then eventually it died because it just stood inside of a Spore Cloud and wouldn't move. And then it died. So it wasn't very useful, but I kind of laughed it off because I didn't put time and effort into spawning it. And that's kind of it. They're kind of very, very lackluster because they take tons of effort to spawn. You have to give them loads of circuits. You have to give them all the gear, and you have to give them food. And also, I had quite a few gears, so each time I spawned these guys, I gave them gears to keep them alive, and they would just chug them way too early. Their hunger would drop by like 20, and then they would just chug a gear. But yeah, my guys would I would spawn them, give them gears, then 2 minutes later they ate the gear, and it's like there's no way your hunger hasn't drained that much. And then, so then I was like, this affinity is just like kind of bad, right? In the early game to the mid game, like it's bad. It's way too much effort and the minions aren't powerful enough and they die way too easily. And also, massive point, the biggest point probably, eventually all 3 chassis in the caves died. Now, I can't just, because they become this chassis, I could just teleport to it, right? They only have the circuits that I gave to them. So if I teleport to it, they have no light, they have no gear for me to survive, right? Because they're meant to be my minions. So that means wherever they died, I had to go back to them, switch consciousness, pull out all of the circuits, and then destroy them, or just go back and hammer them. When you hammer them, they drop all their circuits and they drop their equipped items and stuff. So that's what I did. I had to go on a recovery mission in the caves, manually run to every single chassis, hammer it to get the stuff back, so put some drones down to send all of the circuits back to the cave entrance, then go to the next one. Because when you want to move one of these, you have to move the whole inventory, all of their worn equipment and all of their circuits. That's a lot of infantry spaces. I had to use my drones to do it. So it's a massive pain to move these chassis when they die. Massive pain. And like that was common throughout the run. Until I fought Celestial Scion. So for Celestial Scion, I spent over 10 days doing prep for my possessed chassis. So I ended up giving them 2 hardy circuits each, 2 speed circuits each, an electric circuit, except I gave one of them a chorus box. All of them had beam boosters, and I think that was it. So this is what their stuff looked like. They had a health, they had another health, they had a beam booster. Maybe I'm just hallucinating, but like I feel like they've hotfixed. I feel like they've hotfixed these guys. This guy hasn't chugged a gear yet. So then 2 of them had double speed electric, and one of them had double speed chorus box because, like I said, if their sanity hits 0, they die. And a chorus box gives AoE plus 5 sanity aura. So I had one. This is like the moral support bot. This was. So they had speed and chorus box to keep everyone's sanity up, which is quite funny. But beam booster also increases sanity. So and they had half sanity drain by default. So sanity usually isn't a problem. Okay. It ate a gear in an appropriate time, then its hunger was dropping and it ate a gear. Okay, because the hunger gives you 75 hunger. I feel like they've hotfixed these, because I swear my guys, when I spawned them in my real run, they just chugged gears and like wasted them. Yeah, against Warbot Scion, I did prep. It took over 10 days to get like... This is so much biodata to get all of this 3 times over. And this is what they had. And then I gave them Bright Shade Sword, Bright Shade Body, and Bright Shade Helm. I needed all the resources from one entire Lunar Rift. So I had like 20 or something Bright Shade Husks and 30 Pure Brilliance. And that was like almost enough to make 3 sets of Bright Shade. And I used Construction Magic to make the rest. So they all had a Bright Shade Helm, Bright Shade Body, Bright Shade Sword each. And we defeated Warbot Scion, no problem. By the end, 2 of the guys' armor broke, but none of them died. And also... I made 2 extra Phasmo encapsulators, and I captured Lunar Grazers at a Lunar Portal. So when you're preparing for Wagstaff, you need to make 6 of these, right? But I made 3 extra, so I could capture these guys. Now, why? It's because I could then do this. I could go, like, once I was ready to do the fight at Warbot Island, I did this, and I just fed the Gestalt directly to the body. And now this is a planar body, so it takes less physical damage and does more planar damage, which is crucial. Like, that makes it much better. And also, crucially, it means I sent all of my supplies via drones. I had to use all 9 drones to send all of their gear, their circuits, and all the resources to spawn Warbot. 9 robots versus... 9 transport drones worth of gear to the island. And then I put the 3 Lunar Grazers inside the bodies and gave them all their gear and such. Before you transform them, you have to switch them to plug all their circuits in. So that's what I did, and then they were great. And then everything changes. Again, I stopped playing the world yesterday when I ended stream, and at that time, I had just defeated Scion. But I am going to keep playing it because it's funny. Once you have the crown and Celestial Scion's jewels, look what happens. You get lunacy, and when there's lunacy, there's gestalts. So if this guy died for whatever reason, and this guy died for whatever reason, it's not a big deal. You could just plug this in. Oh hell yeah, the chorus box is active. Yeah, like I said, you could just plug it in. Because you have maxed out lunacy, much like nightmare creatures, that causes gestalts to spawn. And the jeweled crown keeps you at max lunacy. Like when you're low sanity, shadow creatures spawn. When you're at max lunacy, gestalts spawn. So now, if they die, it doesn't matter. Because wherever they died, just put on the crown, put that on, and the gestalts will eventually spawn and see the body, and bam, your guys instantly respawn, and they'll have all their circuits active. Their gear, like if they died and their gear broke, then their gear is broken, but they'll have full stats again, and then they can just keep following you. And that's the biggest thing. What I've learned is these guys, if you're struggling to kill Fuel Weaver, they're like decent. They effectively 2.5 times your damage because you get 3 of them, right? It's a lot of effort, and it's really easy to mess up, and once they die, they're a massive pain to move. As soon as you get the crown with jewels, it's easy to keep these guys, because wherever they die, put the crown on, put the spectral capture thing on, and bam, you could just revive them instantly. In my humble opinion, ignore the Lunar affinity until you have the jeweled crown. Unless you really want to use them versus like Fuel Weaver, because they're actually decent against Fuel Weaver. It's 2.5 times damage, so there's like... You can mess up more because you could do more damage. Like, Fuel Weaver, we did it in like 2 rounds, I think. Yeah. Otherwise, they're kind of stupid, and they were getting hit by Fuel Weaver a lot. So, yeah, that's my opinion on this affinity now. Which is, it's funny, but it's not all that practical until you get the Celestial Crown with jewels in, because then you can revive them wherever they are. Otherwise, they're a massive pain, a massive pain. And also, this goes without saying, but like when you have 3 of these guys, when you want to revive all of your chassis, you can't use this. So I had to destroy my base chassis so I couldn't teleport to it, which wasn't a big deal at all, but that is something. You lose your teleport points when you make these guys. Then lastly is the Shadow Affinity. The Shadow Affinity is still locked on the main branch, so I didn't use it. But in my run, the Shadow Affinity would have just been better. It would have made Fuel Weaver a little bit harder because I would do 25% physical damage rather than having 3 clones. But it would be much faster because on day 21, I would do 3 reps rather than 2. So that's 1 for Fuel Weaver, 1 to craft my maul, and 1 to plug into myself immediately. That gives me 25% physical damage buff and all of the other things that the Shadow Atrium does, like auto-picking, auto-harvesting, and then when you possess it, it gives you, it lets you clone things, which is quite useful, because you know what I would do? I would have it clone deconstruction staffs. That's what I would have it do, and that would go really far in the early game, which you can do if you rush Fuel Weaver. So this is all to say, I might do another boss rush, where I start with the Shadow Affinity, but I'm kind of waiting for Clay to do an update, just because they locked this because they said they're not happy with it or whatever, they want to work on it, so I want to see what they do with it. So to conclude, Lunar Vessel is very haha funny, but it's incredibly expensive. Very expensive, very time consuming to get all the circuits to plug into your boys. But when the circuits are plugged in and everything is done, then that's it. Once they're all done, that's good. Once you have these circuits, like 2 speed, a beam booster, double health, and a chorus box, it's all good. And also, you could use 1 health, 1 beam booster, 1 hunger, but the idea was I was going to unplug my hunger one, then I can just feed them whenever I get hungry. And also double health means they last longer, they have higher max health, 300 rather than 200. And I gave them Bright Shade gear. They didn't repair their gear, but that functionality hasn't been added yet, I don't think, but they didn't need to. So this very funny, very time consuming, very expensive, not very practical, except like for Fuel Weaver. Shadow Servitor, very practical, especially if you rush the shadow pieces, and it's just free. It just instantly activated. And then the clones are like good, I think, once you have 1 Enlightened Crown, because you can revive them wherever you are. Anywhere you are, just revive them, no problem. Yeah, so to reiterate, What's Up is really, really good. It allows you to switch circuits in the early, mid, and late game, like without having to manually get charges by touching a lightning rod or, oh goodness, the rift grew. You don't have to get charges by touching a lightning rod or eating Vault Goat milk, which is hard to farm anyway, unless you have this. This has made getting the first electrified Vault Goat kill easy, but I wasn't getting the first electric circuit until spring, so I could have got it anyway just by waiting for lightning to hit a Vault Goat, but this was fine. Alpha Tickering 1 is good, but I didn't get it. It would have been good for Fuel Weaver for less sanity drain, and by the end of the run, my base was covered in Nightmare Fuel. I had way too much Nightmare Fuel by the end, and this hasn't even really covered the main point, which is all of your power. I guess this is the last thing we'll talk about. Your main power, of course, is if you're rushing Fuel Weaver, is the maul, and I had bone armor. This was my main loadout, and I was just unstoppable. Once your maul hits level 1, I got it to level 3 pretty fast because I made the maul like as spring was starting or just before it. So I killed like 6 Moose on the world, so I got it to level 2. Then I fed it Eye of Terror and killed a few more bosses, and then it was level 3. Like, I got it to level 3 without really trying, to be honest. I just killed all the Moose on the map for it. And then you have double spin cycle, and you just spin. So when something does damage, you heal, because that's what the Shadow Maul does. But when you heal, your sanity goes down. But then when shadow creatures spawn, you're spinning doing AoE damage, so everything dies. And then you just heal more because you're hitting more stuff. So you're constantly low sanity, but you're constantly healing, so you just never die. You just need Nightmare Fuel to fuel this, which happens because you're attacking the boss, Nightmare creatures come to you, and then they die because they get caught up in your AoE, and then the Nightmare Fuel fuels your Bone Armor. So you always use Bone Armor. So the only thing that was kind of a restraint was the repair kits. So I had to do some duping to maintain the amount of repair kits I was using. That was mostly because Don't Starve Alone, the mod that reduces the lag, messes with the respawn timers of the rift creatures, so I couldn't kill them as often as I would have liked. Main thing is, like, once you have the Shadow Maul, you are unstoppable. You can go up to any boss and just hold F and you will win. Because you just heal any damage you're dealt, you kill all the minions, you kill all the shadow creatures, you don't need to do any prep. But the main loadout I was using was Hunger, Bean Booster, Health, double speed for basically in the entire run, except when I was moving the shadow pieces, then I had triple speed. And then during winter, I had the thermal thing plugged in. Outside of winter, I had triple speed and a super illumination. And then during summer, I didn't actually use the refrigerant circuit. I never really felt the need because I was so unstoppable with the amount of healing that if I took overheating damage, it didn't matter, because the bean booster would heal me, or I would heal myself with the Shadow Maul. And I also had a Mooncooler staff, so I just carried around a Thermal Stone and a Mooncooler staff, and I just put it down whenever I was staying stationary for like a minute, and I never really felt the need to have the refrigerant circuit. So I was just using triple speed and super illumination. But WX is really good if you rush Fuel Weaver. Getting the Maul in spring is great because you can kill all the Moose Goose. You can scan the babies, get the 2 spin cycle circuits, and yeah, you win once you get the Shadow Maul. What else? Biodata. When I was giving all of the circuits to my boys, it required a lot of biodata, but it wasn't actually that bad to farm. Basically, with biodata in the early game, I just scanned anything that I could when I saw it. So I didn't really go out of my way to scan things. If I saw something scannable, I would just take the time to scan it. And I never really ran out of biodata. Except when I was making my maxed out 3 chassis for Celestial Scion. At which point, I just had to repeatedly scan Dragonfly and Bee Queen once per day. So I got 10 biodata from each of them if I waited a day in between scans, which is worth it for those bosses. So yeah, and then so in 2 days, you can get 40 biodata. And so yeah, once you like actively want to get biodata, yeah, you just repeatedly scan bosses, and yeah, it's really easy to get. This even included using hostile flares to spawn more Deerclops to get to scan Deerclops for more biodata as well. Anyway, I think that's everything. I've covered everything. Lunar Vessel was bad until you get the crown with jewels. These are really good. This made charge Vault Goats easier. What's Up is a really good skill, This is very useful for teleporting around the map in the early game, but after that, you probably won't use it as much. You can swap Field Survey out once you have uncovered the whole map. And I also did not have to do any ocean exploration because of this. And all of these are necessary. And these are nice to have if you like don't want this, for example, or you don't want this. You could have 2 of these. Have the Shadow Affinity until you unlock the crown with Celestial Jewels. Then get this, because then you can revive your chassis anywhere and for basically free. Anyway, let me know what you think about the skill tree post release. So, like I said, I thought this would be really hype, but after playing it, it's not very hype. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on, like, only from the people who have played WX and your thoughts on playing. No speculation, only your experience. So yeah, let me know. Though, and maybe I'll do another run where I start with Shadow Affinity. And I will be working on, or I'll be having an editor work on the WX-78 boss rush. And then I'll be working on the WX-78 guide, but I also want to keep streaming because it's fun. So expect the boss rush within like the next week or 2. And expect the guide within another 3 weeks maybe, because I have to record it all. Anyway, I'm going now. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. Discuss in the comments. Thank you.